Morning, everyone, and welcome to the ACT training webinar series. Today's topic is going to be ACT marketing automation, getting back to the basics. For today's agenda, we will be going over the welcome to the trainer and a little bit of an intro. We're going to do a live demonstration of marketing automation here. We're going to show you how to set up your account, create an email template, building and activating an email campaign, viewing your campaign results, and during the webinar, we will have live chat-based Q&A, and at the end, we will have a survey, and you can tell us what you think. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Andy Wood, and I am an ACT trainer and email specialist. I am a Colorado native, and I have been part of the ACT team for over 13 years. I provide email marketing support and training for ACT customers looking to get the most out of ACT marketing automation. And in my spare time, I am a martial arts instructor of American Kempo, and I enjoy spending time with my 6 kids and my nieces and my nephews. So let's go ahead and get started. First things we're going to cover is setting up your account with ACT Marketing Automation here. We'll go over your account details, importing suppression lists, company information and addresses, and folder organization. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to jump into the ACT product here. So I'm at my contact display screen here. And to get started with ACT Marketing Automation for the first time, really all you need to do is, if you have access to ACT Marketing Automation, you come down, you click on Marketing Automation, and it will load over to your Marketing Automation screen here. If you get any other screen besides your Marketing Automation screen, usually you'll get some instructions on what you need to do or what steps you need to take. If you get an error message, please make sure you contact our support team so they can help you get that fixed and get your marketing automation up and running. From here, what we're going to do is we are going to go into our account configuration and make sure that we have our account set up correctly. So first things first, we click on admin over here on the right. We're going to click down on this drop-down menu here, and I'm going to go to account configuration, and I'm going to click go. Now, under our account configuration, we have our account name, which is normally our company name here. We're going to have our address. Then we're going to have, if you have Twitter and Facebook set up for your company, you can go ahead and pop those URLs in here. And then if you want to have your branded footers, you can go ahead and turn those on or off. This is a little bit more of advanced settings that you have available to you with click tracking and URLs used for your landing pages. We will cover that in a more advanced webinar at another time. Now, after you've updated your account configuration, go ahead and go to Actions and Save. Now, the reason why this is important is this information is used in the footer of your emails to stay spam compliant for your emails with the federal government here. So next, we are going to go ahead and go into our suppression lists and make sure we have our suppression list set up. Over time, when you're doing business, you'll get customers who request not to receive content from you anymore, and it's good, you know, if you have a list of those people who no longer want to receive things from you, that you upload them and make sure that they don't receive content. In fact, it's a requirement to be spam compliant in order to keep those lists and not send them those emails. So we go here and we're going to go to our suppression list over here in the right hand corner. We're going to click on Actions and we're going to go to Import. And then we're going to choose to select the file that we want to upload from our database. This file can be a CSV file and only have email addresses in one column in it. So make sure that you have just the email addresses in this file when you try and upload it. Once you've selected the file, then you just choose what type of content you're uploading, whether it's a list of people who have unsubscribed, a list of people who have bounced, or a list of people who have complained. Once you have completed that, then all you have to do is click on this upload button, and it will send that to the server, and the server will send you an email notification letting you know when the suppression list has been uploaded. So once we have our suppression list uploaded, then we're ready to begin the next part, which is making sure that we have all available addresses that we would like to have in the footer of our emails available. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to account, and we're going to go to addresses. What this allows us to do is if I have a company that has multiple locations throughout the United States or the world, I can create different address profiles to select from. And that's as easy as just going to Actions, Add Address. You put the address name or the title of this particular address that you have, and then you type in the address here, and then you can select whether it's your primary address or not. So once you've done that, then you can go ahead and click Save, and it will add that address profile here. Another thing that we have available for you is for organization of your campaigns and your templates is folders. So I'm going to go to, again, under the admin menu here, we go to this drop down, we come down here to account folders, and we click go. Now, this is how we create it. So we select where we would like to have the folder, and then we can create the different folders by just right-clicking here and choosing new folder, and then giving each one of those folders a name. Now, to show you guys what exactly this does, I'm going to go over here and click on campaigns. Now, you'll notice that I don't have any folder displayed currently, and that's because of the view that I have my campaigns in currently. In order to see the folder view that I have to go to Actions, and I have to change this into our grid view. Once I've changed it into our grid view, then I can see the different folders that I have for organizing my campaigns. And I can switch between the different ones that I have, the different information that I have for the campaigns there in my folders. And if you don't like that view, then you can always go back to your list view, and it'll just show, depending on how you have the sort set up down here, it'll show your campaigns. So moving on. We're going to go ahead and cover creating a template. Now, before I do that, there's like an order of operations that I like to follow when I'm working with ACT marketing automation or doing any marketing. And that order of operations that I use is, first of all, we need to make sure our account's set up, that we have everything set up the way that we need to, which we just did. Then we need to think about our target audience, or the groups that we're going to be sending to. So make sure that inside of ACT, you have created the groups that you're looking for. You can go under here under groups, and these are all the different groups that I have available. Make sure that you're setting them up in a way that works best for you, so that you can be reaching the target audience that you're looking for. I also recommend that with these groups that you set up to send emails to, that you are filtering out any suppressions or bounces or opt-outs that you have. To do that, one of the ways that you can do it is you can, inside of your particular group here, you can go to add remove contacts, and you can edit the criteria for the group, and then you can filter by your campaign results and remove those. And we did cover this in another webinar that we had, which was our deliverability webinar that we did last month. And if you have any questions about that, you can go and see our previous webinars and watch how to remove bounces and keep those things active. So after you have your groups all set up and you've filtered out all of your bounce suppression and everything, then we're ready to go ahead and move on with creating our template. Next step that we want to do is make sure that our template matches our target audience. And today, where our target audience is going to be a group of people who are needing work done on their house for roofing, because it's that time of year here in the Midwest part of the country where we have a lot of hail and tornadoes and stuff like that. So a little bit of inspiration from the weather that we're having here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my email templates. I'm going to choose Actions, New Template. And then we have our options here available to us for creating a new template. We have our one column WYSIWYG template. If you're not familiar with WYSIWYG, what it is it stands for what you see is what you get. If you choose to use this option, I highly recommend that you are familiar with coding in HTML and know how to fix coding if something doesn't look right. If you are not familiar with how to code in HTML, I would not recommend using the WYSIWYG editor. The rest of the templates that you can choose from are our drag and drop template editor, and it's basically just like it says, you drag and drop the content into the template to create the template that you're looking for. We have over 100 templates available for you to start from, and all of them come equipped with a mail merge field at the bottom of the template that will include your company address and the unsubscribe link, which is required by the Federal CAN-SPAM Act. So I personally am going to start with a blank template, and I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. Next thing we need to do is give our template a name. And then we're going to leave it as a drag and drop editor here. We can add smart tags to find it easier later on. And then we'll go ahead and click save. Once we've created that template, we can get started on editing. And what I like to do before I start editing the template is set my background colors and my width and everything for my template. The industry standard for the width of a template is 600 pixels wide. That's just because of what the minimum width of a computer screen is. If you make it any wider than 600 pixels, there's a chance that your customers will have to scroll left to right in order to read it. Or if you make it any smaller than that, they may have to scroll left to right to read it. So it's just good to make sure that you have the default at 600 pixels. And then you choose the alignment of the content. If you want it to look like a standard email, you can set it so the alignment is left, but it is recommended for some email clients that ignore the center justification or the left justification and the right justification to center the email. So that's probably the most highly recommended setting that we have here. Next, I want to set the background color of the template. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here, and I'm going to pick the color that I want for the background of my template. And you can notice here that the outside part behind my background has turned a little bit lighter of a bluish gray. Then next, I'm going to set the content area, which is the area that I have here in the blocks. I'm going to set the background color for that, which I'd like it to be white. You do have the option, if you know your color code branding for your company, you can type in the color code specifically for the branding for your company in these boxes if you know those color codes, and it'll come up with that color. Then I'm going to select my default font for the template so that I don't have to go through. If I want everything in Arial, I can do that, or I could set everything up as Ubuntu if I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and leave this as Arial. And then this last option here is the color of links inside of my template. The color that we have selected here is the default link color that the web uses, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it that color. You could change it for branding purposes if you really wanted to, but you don't need to do that. The next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to cover our rows. This is the build of the template and the content that we want to have in it. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the different options that I want here. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill out the content that I want to have inside of my template. So the first thing I'm going to start with here at the top is a text box that I want to have. Then I'm going to drop an image block in here. Then throw in another text block here. We're going to throw in a couple image blocks over here. A couple text blocks here. Another text block here. And then I'm going to take a video block and I'm going to drop that right here. And then I'm going to take and put a text block here. We're going to put in a button block here. And then we're going to go ahead and put in our social media icons down here. And then we have our footer of our email underneath that. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start putting the content for my email in here. Thing that I want first here at the top is going to be a link where they can, you click on the link if it doesn't display correctly inside of their email client. So I'm going to go here under special links. And I'm going to choose under view email, click this to view an email browser. Then I'm just going to go ahead and justify that to the right. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our header image here. Inside of our image editor here, we do have the option to search for photos, and that's what I have done previously. You just click on here. There's a bunch of free 500,000 stock images that you can use that are available. I have already searched for these previously in the past, so I have created a folder where they're in. If you are curious how to do that, what we can do is we can click on this little plus sign and it'll add a folder to your library here by clicking on that plus sign. And as you can see, and you can delete those folders if you want to delete those folders as well. But I'm going to go ahead and go into my folder and I'm going to grab my header for my template and I'm going to insert that there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my images that I have here. And these are images that I searched for through our free photos here that I'm using. And I'll show you that here in just a second so you can see what I'm talking about. So if I decided I wanted to choose this image, I could search for a photo, go down here, type in shingles and do a search, and it's going to give me a list of all the different shingles, you know, images that have shingles in them and stuff like that. So that's one way that you can go get images related for your template if you're looking for that. And then the next part we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw in our video URL here. And these can be either YouTube or Vimeo URLs that work. And what it does is it automatically creates a preview of the image that we have in there for the YouTube video. Next, I'm going to take some content, and in a notepad document here, I have the content that I want inside of my template just kind of typed out here. And I'm going to copy and paste that in here. And I recommend using a program that doesn't have any font styles or anything like that if you're going to make a previous document and copy and paste your text in. That way you're not copying over any font designations or accidentally putting in extra formatting into your template when you're creating it. So next, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my title here. And it doesn't take very long once you get used to how to do this to throw everything together inside of your template. I'm going to throw in some different types of shingles that are available, and then I can highlight these and I can set them up as bullet points if I want to do that. And then all you have to do in order to get the bullet points to be there for them is just hit backspace and then enter, and then it will create the bullet points for you for your list there. And there we have the bullet points for my list there. A little bit more content here for the next block. And then we're going to add a link here to this text by clicking on the chain here, and then copying one of our links here to some more information and pasting that in here. And you can choose whether you want to underline the link or not. And then you can also choose whether you want to open a new window or stay within the same one. And I am going to choose to stay to open up a new window here. So there we have the link. And then our text that goes along with our video here. Then we can set up our button here to be configured. Underneath our button, we have a bunch of different options available here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and choose the font that I want. I'm going to go ahead and use the global font. You can change the weight so that it's more bold, as you can see here. I can choose to change the color of the button, and I can also change the width of it. And I like to manually change that to fit what my template is looking like there. You can change the font size on the button. You can choose to align it left, right, middle. You can choose change the line height if you want to. In this case, since it's just single text, it's not really going to change much when I click on that, except the padding around the button. And then we can round the corners more by clicking the border radius here, or we can remove the roundness of the corner by taking it down to 0. Then some other options that you can use if you want to make it look like it's a 3-dimensional button a little bit, you could add some borders to it. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. On the right side of my border, I'm going to add a little bit of a length here. And then on the bottom, I'm also going to add some padding. And then I'm going to choose a darker color to make that border. Then we'll just use that same color down beneath it. And that gives us kind of a 3-dimensional look. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the URL that we're going to use for this button. And now in this particular case, I'm going to have it go to our website. You want to make sure that when you're putting in your address here, that you're always including your HTTP part of your address. So always at least HTTP://. If it's a secure site, you want to make sure you include the HTTPS. and then the rest of your address. Once you have that done, you can move on to setting up your social media icons. So these are the social media icons we have available. If you know your links, you can add the additional parts of your links to go to your specific page. If there's any content that you don't need here, like if you don't have an Instagram, you can remove that. If you don't have a LinkedIn, you can remove that. You can also add additional icons. If you have Vimeo, you can add that. If you have YouTube, you can add that. If you have Pinterest, you can add that. So all those options are available. And then we have icon selections that are available on what you would like the icons to look like in your template. And I'm going to go ahead and go with a universal blue here. And then the basics of my template are all set up. The next thing that I need to do is go ahead and set the color. And I can go back here. And for each one of these blocks that I have here, I can set the color of the text in the block. And I'm going to go ahead and select my text to be this color. And again, all I have to do is highlight the block and then change the color in the block rather than having to change all the text individually and highlight it. I can just set the color to this block. And so that's what I'm doing here with my text in each of these individual blocks. Now, if I wanted to, I could do it on a block level and I could highlight a portion of the text and set it to a different color through here. If I wanted that to be black, I could make that black, as you can see. So it is possible to do that. And the way that this works is the settings tab is like your background of your template, and you can set the background areas and everything, or the beginning layer of it. And then as you move left in here, when you're creating the template, you can think of those layers going on top. And so the next layer after our settings is our rows, and then after our rows is our blocks. And so these are our rows, and you can see that in each one of these templates, we have our different rows, and we can set up our colors and everything for each row that we have. We can set up our padding and everything, our borders and all that stuff in here on our rows. And then we have the content level of our block. And a good example of this is I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a border to this block right here. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to highlight our row here. And then under our block, under column 1, I'm going to change the background color for this, or I'm going to change the border color for this. And I'm going to make that 5 pixels for the border. I'm going to make that, turn that on for all sides. And before I go ahead and click on this more options, as you can see, it drops down a bunch of options. I'm going to pick the color that I want for the border. And the color that I'm going to pick is the one that I have as the background for the template. Then I'm going to go ahead and choose the more options. And as you can see, I have a 5 pixel border around everything. And I don't really like how that currently looks. As you can see, it looks a little weird having the border on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the border on the sides of this. So we'll highlight that again, scroll down to the bottom, click on our more options, and we're going to remove it from the left and the right. And then that gives a little bit of a look. Oops, just a second here. I removed it from the bottom, not the left and the right. There and there. And then that gives it a look like this is kind of floating. Right, we want 0, left, we want 0. There we go. And we can do that to the bottom here as well, where we have our footer. So it looks a little bit separated from the rest of the template. I'm going to add a little bit more here to the top. And then to the bottom just a little bit. And then that gives us a little bit of a look like the footer is separate and a little bit away from the rest of the template, and gives it a little bit of a look. Then we can also change the padding that we have around each one of these blocks. As you can see, as I remove the padding, it changes the space between the border of this block and the text that's in it. I can do the same thing with my images here. And then you'll want to make these changes to your template and get it all set up. And as you can see, it doesn't really take all that long to get a template set up and ready to go. Last thing I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to show you what happens if you don't have that footer that we put in there inside of the template, and what error checking we have in place if that happens. Last thing I do is I make sure that I save my template, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get to the point where we are going to talk about creating a campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and choose return here and go back to the main template screen. And I'm going to click on campaigns here. Now we're going to be talking about building and activating your campaign. So first of all, we're going to need to know what group we're using in ACT. Then we're going to go through a little bit creating the interactive workflow. Then we're going to go through editing the emails, which is going to be mostly the same as what I just showed you, except this is going to be inside the campaign itself. So we have our master templates section where we create the master template, and then we can import those templates into our campaigns and use them, and modify them for the particular content that we're sending out that day. Then we have our additional actions that are available, and I'll show you the automatic error checking that we have before we activate the campaign. So we'll go ahead and pop back in here into our ACT program, and we're going to go to actions, and we're going to choose new campaign. Now on our basic level, we do have only the option for blank campaign. On some of our more expensive levels or different tiers that we have available to you, there are different workflows that are available to you for sales prospecting, promotional sales, creating a webinar and stuff like that, newsletter campaigns. And those will be available to you on different tiers that we have available inside of ACT Marketing Automation. I'm going to go ahead and choose our blank campaign here and then click continue. Give my campaign a name. Use my smart tag. I'm not going to put this in any of my folders here, but you do have the option to go ahead and place this campaign in a specific folder if you want to, and then you can go ahead and click continue. Now, the reason why that errored out is because I had not selected my group yet. And that's something that these campaigns requires, is a group that you have. So that's one of the first things that we have as an error checking is you cannot continue without selecting the group that you want this to be based off of. And today we're going to use our demo list emails as our group, and then we're going to go ahead and hit create. Now that'll take us into our campaign where we can design the workflow. There's two different ways that we can view our workflow. We can view it horizontally or we can view it vertically. And to change those options, we just click on this little icon right here, and it's going to switch us from a vertical view to a horizontal view or back and forth. This is where the campaign is going to start in our workflow. And then this is the type of send that we're going to have. And so if I want to change the time period or the interval that I'm going to send this campaign, I just click on this line right here. And that's going to give me the option to choose either a time interval to send this out, which means I'm going to wait this long before this first step executes. Or I can choose a specific date. So if I wanted this to go out on Friday, I could go ahead and choose Friday, choose the date and time. I can even choose the time zone that I want it to go out in if I want to. You do have the options under your My Account tab to change the time zone that's available to you as default in here. So if you're ever curious about that, that's up here in the upper right under My Account. Now, I will go ahead and choose time interval because I want it to go out instantly. And if you want it to send out instant, you just set this to 0 and then minutes. But if you wanted to wait 15 minutes until you activate it, you could do that. I could tell it to wait 2 weeks if I wanted to send out that campaign. And to make sure that I'm not sending it on the weekend, I can check mark this box and it'll make sure that it does not send out the email campaign over a weekend if I have that box checked. And that's something that's really valuable if I'm doing a time interval and constantly adding new contacts to a group for a campaign. That really helps out a lot. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this as a 0 minutes so that it goes out instantly. And then this is the step or the activity that we have our campaign doing. We can go to change action types. Now on our basic email marketing service level, we only have the option for email here, but this is where I could change the action type that occurs here is just by choosing change action type. And then under change action type, I select the different types that I have. So we're going to go ahead and edit this email content for now. You'll notice that we do have other options here. The click heat map shows you which links in your campaign after it's been sent were the most active. So it'll show you information about each individual link that you've put in that template and how many times it's been clicked. I'm not sure that it really shows anything. Yeah, it doesn't show anything if we haven't added anything to the campaign yet. So we're going to go ahead and edit our email content for now. And then this is the default template that you get when you create a campaign. You're going to want to make sure that you change this to the template that you want sent. I'm going to go ahead and import my template. So I'm going to go to actions here in the upper right and go to import my templates. And then I'm going to select drag and drop, and I'm going to scroll down to the new template that I created, which is Storm Time. And I'm going to go ahead and click import. Now I could edit this template further right now if I wanted to, changing things if I needed to, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it the way that it is. Now, one thing that I always recommend is before you do anything else, click save. And that gives you the option later on to restore the email. If you make any changes, you can restore it to a previous version. If you do not click save, you can't restore it to a previous version. So it's important that you do click save to make sure that it is sending the correct email. Don't just go in here and edit the campaign and never save it, because it's not going to save any previous versions or anything like that for you. If I'm curious about how the template looks in a preview, I can go to preview here and I can look and see what my template looks like. I can also go and see what it's going to look like on a mobile view and see if I like how it looks when we're viewing it on mobile. And then just click on this X and it'll take you back to the template. So once we have the template all set up and ready to go, the next thing that I need to do is set up my subject line for my template. And we do that by going in here to properties. Now this is under name here. This is the name of the step of the campaign and the workflow that we're currently doing. And I like to call it step 1, but you can use whatever naming convention you would like. And then we're going to set our subject line for our email. And that'll, as you can see, change the subject line for the email here. And there's a couple other things that I want to show you under the properties here. If you wanted to add a mail merge inside of your subject line, you can do that by selecting these different mail merge options here. You can put a pre-header in for email clients that support pre-headers. You can set the format for mail merge data that has a date in it. If you'd like, you can go in there and you can set the different format types, whether you're in a European country or a country that has a different format than what the United States uses, or you can do, the short month. You could do the day first, then the month, then the time. So it gives you a few different options on how you would like to have those dates and times displayed if you do merge that type of data into your template. And then next, we have our address selection, and this is that address profile that we selected. And I'm going to go ahead and choose our default address. And you can do this on each template that you have inside of a campaign. You can set the company address that's going to be merged into the template for this. And then the last part is our unsubscribe landing page, which is set to our default unsubscribe. On other service levels above our basic, you do have the option to create separate unsubscribe pages, and you can customize those unsubscribe pages if you're on one of those other tiers. And then once we have everything set up for our email template, we can click on update, and that'll be ready to go. And so then I can click save, and then we can go to actions, and we can send a test to ourselves. And this test merge field, what it does is it uses an email address that's inside of the group that we have, and it'll send a test to whatever emails you have in here. You can either put one, or you can separate each email with a semicolon, and it'll allow you to send multiple tests to those. I'm going to go ahead and click send test there. And as you can see, it said the send test was successful. So we know I can then go and check in my email what that template looks like. I'll go ahead and pull that over for you guys here real quick so you can see it. There's my test email and what it looks like. And you can check and make sure that it came from the right email address as well. So once I've made sure that that all looks good, I'm going to go ahead and return back here to the campaign. If I wanted to add an additional email step, I could click here, choose insert action after, email, and then go. And then it would add another action to occur afterwards. And then I can choose the intervals that I would like to wait, or I could set a specific date for this and so on. For right now, I'm not going to use this, so I'm going to choose to remove the email and click go, and that'll remove that step from my campaign. So once I have everything set up in my campaign the way that I want, as we talked about, we have our automatic error checking that occurs afterwards. So we've covered these four things. Let's go ahead and go to the next part of our presentation where we cover the error checking. So we have our campaign all created, and remember, I did delete that footer from our email template. And I did that so I can show you how it checks for the error checking to make sure that we're spam compliant when we create it. So now when I go into actions, you notice here that I have this big red X saying that I'm missing a step, and it says, warning, you do not have a mail merge field for a company address. Warning, you do not have an unsubscribe merge field. So I need both of those things in order for my template to be able to be sent. So this also gives us an overview of what we're doing with this campaign. It has the campaign name, the status of the campaign, what it's going to do, and it says send on activation because I have it set to 0 minutes. If I had a time interval, it would say the time interval there, whether I've turned sync on for this campaign or not, the from email address that I have set up, the display name that I have set up for this email address, the group that I've selected from my database, and if I created any exclude lists of groups, that I want to make sure are excluded from this campaign, it would show those excluded lists here. I can go ahead and click on this edit email, and it's going to take me back to the template and let me address those errors. So let's go ahead and take a look here. And as you can see, that block is missing. So we're going to go to rows, drag our row back down here at the bottom, put our text back in here. And we can do this a couple of different ways. I can do, just our footer here with the special links. So we're going to have our unsubscribe and click here to unsubscribe. And then above that, I'm going to go to merge tags, and I'm going to put in your company address. And I can also put in my company name as well if I want to. And it is recommended to do that, but you don't have to have your company name in there. And that'll merge the company name from your profile here inside of Act that we set up under account configuration. That's what it's going to be merging into this template here, is that company name and that company address, because I have it set to the default there. If I didn't have it set to the default, then it would merge one of those other address profiles that I have available there. And then I can highlight these and I can center them if I want to. And then once I have that set up, I can go up to the top, click save. And then we can return back to the template. And now you can see that we have a green check mark here that shows us that we're ready to go. And I can go ahead and click on activate campaign. And then it'll work on sending out that email to that group that we have there. So the next step that we have inside of our webinar here is viewing the campaign results. So showing statistics from an individual campaign, or we can look at the activity over a period of time. We can also look at our campaign results overall. So we're going to go ahead and first cover our campaign results and our email results. And so we're going to hop back into Act here. And I'm going to go to a different campaign that has activity on it so that you can see it. Obviously, we haven't had enough time for people to open and click on stuff on that email that I just sent out. So we're going to go to one of our previous campaigns, and I'll show you some of the activity that we have on there. So go ahead and click on this. First thing I'm going to show you is our click heat map, which is right here. We just click on the stage, then click the drop down, and we choose click heat map, and then we click go. Now this is going to show our template, and it's going to show any links in the template and how many times they were clicked and how many unique clicks we have. So it was clicked 26 times, and it has 14 unique clicks. So the next thing I can do on here is I can go to our step, and I can choose to view email statistics and hit go. And then this is going to show the total amount of people that I sent it to, how many people it was delivered to, the delivery percentage, how many people bounced, how many people unsubscribed, how many complaints there were, how many total opens, how many unique opens, the unique opens per delivered. So that's your open rate, your total clicks, your unique clicks, and then your unique clicks per open, which is your click rate. And then it'll give you the different statistics that we have with this particular group. And then we can go down here and we can look at each individual thing. We can look at the clicks and see who clicked. We can look and see who's delivered. We can look and see who bounced. So all those options are available there. And then we can also send an export of this to ourselves. So we could go export, and then we can choose which of these things we would like to see in the export. So any of them that you leave check marked is what you're going to see when you export that. And it'll send over a Excel CSV file of that data to you. So that is one of the ways to view the statistics of a campaign. Another way that we can view the statistics of a campaign is going in here to Act. And then we can come over here to Campaign Results tab, and it'll show all of the different campaigns that I have sent this individual customer, with the most recent one on the top. And you'll see here that it has the campaign name, the subject line, who the sender was, when the first open date was, how many total opens they have, how many total clicks they have. If they clicked on something, it'll show the last URL that they clicked on. If we scroll over here further, you can see detail, which the detail is the template that you actually sent them. You can see if they've bounced or unsubscribed. And if we click on this link here, you'll see it shows the template that we sent them. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the detail that we have available to you inside of your database. And this usually takes 24 to 72 hours to write to your database to get all that updated. Because generally speaking, most campaigns have all the opens and clicks and bounces that it's going to get within 72 hours of the campaign being sent. And so it roughly takes about that much time for all of the updates to occur and everything. You will start seeing updates in the database usually within 4 hours of the campaign, and it'll start writing here in the database under the campaign results tab. If you're curious and you want to see something a little bit faster than that, you'll have to go into the campaign like I showed you and look at the statistics from there. But you'll start seeing stuff show in here within probably 4 hours of you sending out a campaign. If you don't, we recommend 24 hours to see this information available. If you ever run into any instances where the information is not showing, you can always come here into marketing automation. Sorry about that. Go back here to context here real quick. Every once in a while, if you lose internet connection here, you'll get an error message and you might have to restart your Act. We just go back into our marketing automation tab here. And then we can look at that information on whether it's writing to our database by coming here to admin and going to CRM and Act History Sync and clicking go. And it's going to show anything that's pending on waiting here. And it does take a little bit of time for it to go out to the database query and show us what information is available to be written to the database. If there is anything that's pending, you can wait and see if it's writing. I usually give it about 24 hours. You can also tell it to sync again. And we're just waiting for that to load here. So as you can see right now, I don't currently have any data that's available to download. I can look at completed data by clicking retrieve there. I can also look at things that were rejected. So if it tried to write to the database, but it was unable to. I can look at rejected. If anything shows in rejected here, I can actually come here to actions and I can choose reset sync, and it'll take these and it'll push these back into the pending queue and attempt to write those again. So that's something that you can do if something fails, is you can go ahead and reset the sync and have it try and write those again. You will want to pay attention to this stuff here on how long it takes. We have completed data is retained for 3 months and rejected data is retained for 6 months. So you have within 6 months to try and rewrite that information before we clear this out. So keep that in mind. The next part of statistics that I wanted to show you guys here is our campaign statistics. So I'm going to go ahead and just look at our general campaigns here overall. We're going to go to actions and we're going to go to our campaign dashboard. And since I don't do a ton of sending on a weekly or monthly basis, I'm going to go show you guys my last year's worth of sending. And I'll go ahead and hit refresh here. And as you can see, I have a graph here that shows total emails sent, total delivered, total opened, total clicked. And it gives me a little pie chart of how many bounced out of that, which you want to make sure stays below 5% for the year. And then underneath here, it shows all of the different campaigns that I sent and the statistics for those campaigns. And then we have our campaigns activated. And then it'll compare, you know, the different domains that I've sent from and stuff like that. So this is a great way to get a view of all the activity that has occurred on our campaigns. There is one more thing that we can do inside of our campaign. So I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. We can go to actions here and we can look at the campaign dashboard, which is different than our email step dashboard. And this will show you all the different email steps within that campaign. And so it'll give us the overall, if there's multiple steps within the campaign, it'll give us the overall data. And then it'll actually also show you the activity over time and the email addresses of the last 100 transactions that occurred on this campaign. So that's another place that you can get that information from that's available to you so that you can follow up with your contacts in your database. And so that covers our viewing our campaign results, and we will go ahead and move on. That is the end of our webinar for today. We are offering a special offer where we save 25% on ACT Marketing Automation Select, Complete, or Advanced. There are some other service levels or options that we have available where you can write to your opportunities or create tasks. We have landing page options where you can create webinars and surveys that you can include in templates to grow your contact database in your list or stay in contact with people. And it's really important to understand that using marketing automation gives you another tool to stay a little bit more connected with your client base. And you get to do things as simple as, you know, just creating a birthday email to let them know that, you know, you do remember that you have done business with them, but also, you know, keeping track of, and this is something that I personally do when I use ACT, is make sure that keep record of things that the customer is interested in and put it on their contact record. And then I can merge those type of things into an email marketing campaign so that the email that I'm sending them out is a little bit more personalized with the marketing automation campaign. And then, you know, you could also keep track of quotes and opportunities that you have available for them. Or if a customer has opened and clicked something, you can actually, on different service levels, have it create an opportunity for you inside of ACT. So keep that in mind. We do have that available to you. If you do need a hand with ACK Marketing Automation or getting started, you can reach out to us. We do have people who are available. You can call our 855-216-7378 in the US or 020-4538-5871 in the UK, or you can contact your certified ACT consultant and they can help you get started. And again, you will receive a survey at the end of this. And if you have any questions about whether or not this is recorded, we are recording it and we will send the copy of the recording to you via the email that you registered for the webinar. And that is all that we have for you today. It was a pleasure working with you guys today, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.